Hello, I'm just going to go over some basics about what I've learned about tube feeding a puppy. So first, most of the formula you can get at the pet stores. It's a 1-to-2 ratio. I mix it in one of these little puppy bottles and I shake it up really good. So 1 tablespoon of formula powder to 2 tablespoons of warm water. The formula I use has to be refrigerated, so I usually take hot water and mix it with the cold formula, and it gives it pretty much the perfect temperature. So a quick tip to making it in the middle of the night. And then you have to shake it really good to get all the set powder off the bottom. And while this is mixing, you will need a syringe, and then this is a 8 French FR feeding tube. I've been using this size feeding tube since my puppy was only 5 ounces, and I'm dealing with pugs. So my vet originally told me that the bigger the tube, the less chance you have going into the lungs or the trachea. So, and you want to make sure it goes to the stomach and not to the lungs, otherwise you could flood their lungs and drown them, and that would not be good. Okay, so this is about mixed up. So yeah, so when you get this tube, it's a lot longer than this. Imagine that, it's already pretty long. And you can cut it down to about where the width looks like it'll fit over the syringe top here. And then I had my husband really squeeze it on there, and it has a really good suction, so you don't have to use any tape or anything. So this is a 20 ml or 20 cc ml. 1 ml equals 1 cc. For those of you who don't know, I had to look that up. He started out at only 3 cc's. So when we first started, we did 1 ml or 1 cc per 1 ounce of body weight. So every day when he was gaining about an ounce, eventually he started gaining about an ounce a day. At first it was only about 0.25 to half an ounce a day, which is perfectly fine, as long as they're gaining. And every day that he would move up to the next ounce, we'd move him up to the next cc. So now we've actually spaced our feedings out from the 2-hour feedings that we were doing. We bumped it to 3 hours, and now it's every 4 hours. So he gets about his body weight in cc's every 4 hours. So the vet actually wrote up a new calculation. Once they pass half of a pound, they hit this new calculation for that. So depending on how many kilocalories are in your formula, is how you do this calculation. But a general rule of thumb is once they're over 8 ounces, it's 5 milliliters or 5 cc's per 4 ounces of body weight. So since he is just over a pound, he's almost at a pound and 4 ounces, so we're about to bump him up again. But since he's over a pound, you'd multiply 5 times 4, or 4 times 4, which is 16 ounces for the 1 pound mark. 16 ounces is in a pound. So 16 times 5 would be how much he would be getting a day. I'm doing this calculation wrong. 5 times 4, okay. 5 times 4 every 3 to 4 hours. So it's 20 mLs every 3 to 4 hours. Okay. All right, and then this line needs to be adjusted. I read online that this line needs to be adjusted every 3 weeks. Not true. You should be checking this line probably every mid to 1 week. He's gone from 5 ounces all the way up to 1 pound and 3 ounces now. So I recommend checking this often, because if you don't get it far enough down to their stomach, the fluid will come back up and cause potential for aspiration pneumonia, especially when you're dealing with a cleft palate puppy like I am. So you'll see it's got the 2 little holes here for the feeding tube. And then you measure this from their nose to their last rib. The vet called that their sternum. I didn't know what the sternum was called, so I just did a bunch of research. And the last rib, if you can feel it on the side, that's about where the line should be. And then you take your formula. It'd be easier to show you how to do this without this long tube, but I'm just gonna do it. And you pull it up into the syringe. We are going all the way up to 20 cc's for him, since he's over a pound now. There will be a little bit of air on the top. I've had multiple people tell me different things. You can either turn it upside down and squirt the air out into the sink and then resuck some up to get all the air out. But I've learned that the amount of air that comes in here, if you suck it in correctly, shouldn't escape all the way through the tube into the puppy, as long as you have it upright when you're putting it in. So I'm gonna go get my little miracle over here. Come here, Oreo. Here is Oreo. I was told by 2 different vets to put him down because the amount of time and effort it takes to save a cleft palate puppy is a lot more than most people can handle, but we wanted to save him and he's doing so well. So we've now gone to a 3rd vet who has a lot more experience with cleft palate puppies, and the 3rd vet is very optimistic about the cleft and fixing it and everything. So we just have to get him up to about 4 to 6 months old. We will be transitioning him to food at 3 weeks. He is 2.5 weeks now. Look how lively he is, and he's got a fat little belly. His eyes are open, he's walking, he's just doing awesome. So he is very squirmy because now he's a little older. When he was younger, he would just sit here and I could just hold his head still and everything would be fine. Now it's a little more challenging. I've tried wrapping him, I've tried doing a bunch of things, but it's not easy. So you just really have to hold his head still. Otherwise you gag him and he could potentially aspirate all of the formula. So you start sticking it down, he will help you swallow it. Go all the way down to that black line. He's whining, so I know it's not in his trachea. Push this down. I do it a little slower with this much, but for 3 cc's it takes me about 2 minutes. I pull it out pretty quickly so it doesn't hit a gag reflex on the way back up, for less chance of formula coming back up, and then I immediately let him start sucking my finger. My hands, of course, are clean. So that way, in case any formula does come back up, he has a better chance of sucking it down rather than it going up through his nose. So right now he's not interested. He wants more, but he is very nice little chubby belly here. I don't know if you can see. Before it was not like that. Before he started gaining weight. So this is our little Oreo. He's our little miracle. Nobody had any hope for him, but he is doing so well. And he's so cute. Say hi, Oreo. And then I am very adamant about weighing him every single feeding to make sure he got enough, especially when he was gaining weight like crazy in the beginning. Make sure he was getting the right amount of mLs and cc's. I gotta zero out my scale. My scale sometimes likes to be off a little bit. And then I use a towel inside of a pan to try to get him not to crawl out so fast because he's so squirmy now. He's sitting at 1 pound and 4 ounces. Good job, Oreo. So since he just reached the next 4 ounce mark, we're gonna bump him up to 24 cc's because now it'll be 5 times 20. 5 times every 4 ounces of body weight. All right, so hopefully that helps somebody. Nobody taught me. The vet kind of taught me, the first vet, but there were a lot of tricks that we had to learn on our own through research and experience. It's way easier to feed a dog or a puppy this age if you have somebody holding his body still and kind of off the table. So then all you have to do is be in charge of their head. And then when you reach around the head, you don't want to let their head move pretty much at all. So I reach around like this, and then when the tube is all the way in with my other hand, I hold that tube very, very still with my hands pinching around his mouth like this. Yes, oh, sorry, buddy. Yes, it might be uncomfortable for them for a second, but it's so important not to let that formula come back up because then they could develop that aspiration pneumonia, and that's not good. So he's doing so well. He just had a vet check. He's gained almost a whole pound since we first started with him a week and a half ago. So hopefully this helps somebody. Say hi, Oreo. And he's about to pee on me, I can tell. Don't you pee on your paperwork. All right, thank you.